Hey, it was new and exciting. It's Kevin O'Shaughnessy here, and in today's lesson, I'm going to share with you my tips for how to get the most out of those spider exercises. So, spider exercises, walking exercises, I generally just refer to them now as four-finger exercises. Whatever you call them doesn't matter. The point is, the names that are chosen basically are designed to help you visualize how the fingers are supposed to move along the neck when you're playing the guitar. Now, what I've noticed is that as you're moving linearly along one string, your fingers kind of march. Okay, so what I mean by that is you have your first finger pressed down, and then the instant your second finger touches the string is when your first finger lifts up. When your third finger touches the string, your second finger lifts up. So it's kind of like marching, right? As you move across the strings, I have found it's a little bit more like regular walking. So your pinky will be playing a note, and as that pinky is holding the note, your first finger is already moving into position. Much the same way as if you were walking down the street, right? You place your right foot down, and before you've really gone too much further, your left foot is already coming up behind you and moving into position to catch you as you move forward. So this kind of exercise can be very useful in helping you develop your technique. And as such, I have three different levels. One for the early beginner, one for the advanced beginner, and one for the more intermediate player. And you're going to use these exercises in different ways depending on where you're at in your musical journey. So let's look at level one, the early beginner, okay? What you're going to do, this is going to be a very limited exercise, and the goals of this exercise are very simple. You want to reinforce your hand placement and orientation. You want to be able to make sure that you're getting a good tone out of every note that you're playing, and you want to begin the process of coordinating this hand synchronization, all right? And I'll explain that in a minute. So what you do with this, I highly recommend you use a metronome. You really do need an outside source to give you the beat. Regardless of how good your beat is, you should definitely use this with a metronome to really push you to make sure that your timing is good. Now at this stage, I would set the metronome at 120 beats per minute, and you're going to play each of these notes as a whole note. Now what we're going to do is we're simply going to start at the 5th fret, so we're going to be in 5th position. We're going to do it ascending and then descending, and it's going to look like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to skip ahead to the high E string. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Now repeat the top note. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so on and so forth. You go up those notes, and then you come back down those same notes on all 6 strings. So what we're trying to do, like I said, is we're going to reinforce our hand placement and orientation. Is there enough space between the hand and the neck? Are the fingers curled over? That kind of thing. We also want to make sure that we're getting a good tone. A good tone at this stage is one where the string makes good clean contact with the fret, there's no buzzing, and the pitch doesn't deaden out too early. It rings until you play the next note. Now with hand synchronization, what you want to try to do is make sure that when the pick strikes the string, it's the exact same instant that your fingers switch. So as I move from the first note to the second note, I'm really trying to coordinate that switch so that my second finger and my pick hit the string at the same time, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. All right, so if you're looking at both of these, and you might want to go back and check it out a couple of times, my finger and the pick hit the string at the same time. And this is why I'm suggesting you do this as whole notes instead of as quarter notes or eighth notes. We're not trying to develop speed at this point. We're trying to get that critical foundation of technique that we're going to need for everything we play. Now level 2 is the more advanced beginner, and what we want to do here is we want to begin expanding this exercise over the whole neck. The ultimate goal is to be able to go from the 1st fret all the way up to the 12th fret and then back down again. And you might also want to shorten the note duration. So instead of whole notes, you might want to try half notes or even quarter notes. And so what we're going to do is once we get to the high E string and we play that last note, we're going to shift up a position and then come back down. So I'll play the first few positions. It'll look something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Now I'm in second position. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now third position. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so on, all the way up to the 12th fret. Now you want to keep all of the stuff that you learned while doing this in the early beginner stage so that you're still keeping a good tone, you're reinforcing that hand placement and orientation, and you're making sure that your hand synchronization is able to operate at quicker speeds. You'll notice this time around I played that as quarter notes. You don't have to go that fast if you're not ready for it. You can do it as half notes. So the last level, this level here is for the more intermediate player, and I use it to even out the technique. Now, as a general rule, I usually recommend using musical examples or at least musical drills. So you want to be practicing scales at this point. You want to be practicing arpeggios and interval training and sequences and stuff like that. That's what's really going to develop your fingers, and it's going to be much more useful because they're musical patterns that you can use in the songs that you're trying to play. But if that's not quite doing the job, if there are finger pairs that aren't getting worked out, or there are certain aspects that you still don't think you're quite getting, then an exercise like this can really fill in the gaps. So basically the two kinds of things that I generally recommend working out with this part of the exercise is either the finger pairs or finger stretches. This of course would be between the first and second finger and the third and fourth finger. So let's look at finger pairs first. What I'm going to do is, for example, a very common finger pair that tends to need a lot of extra work is the third and fourth fingers, right? Your ring finger and your pinky tend to be a little weaker. So what you can do is you can take this exercise and simply repeat the third and fourth finger a couple of times, kind of like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, like that. You can go up and down the neck as far as you think you can and move on from there. You can also do it backwards, and I would simply put the repetition in the front. Sounds something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And again, all the way down. Now you can do that for any finger pair you need to strengthen. If it's the first and second finger, the second and third finger, the first and third, the second and fourth, the 1 and 4th, it doesn't really make any difference. Come up with whatever pattern feels natural for you to get a little more exercise into whatever finger pair is not getting the workout it needs. Now similarly, you can do this with finger stretching as well. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to put a 1 fret gap between my first finger and second finger, and that would look something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I of course could do that with my third and fourth finger as well. So I hope you found that useful. If you did, give me a thumbs up and let me know. If you have any questions, comments, or any issues you'd like me to address in future videos, let me know in the comments. Or if you have any insights you'd like to share with the community, I'm sure we could all benefit from it. So without any further ado, go practice. In the meantime, I am Kevin O'Shaughnessy. I will see you in the next video.